What's up, people? Today we're going to have a look at the good, the bad, and the man, it's going to be a long year that came out of the first round of World Superbikes at Phillip Island just a couple of weekends ago. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Andrew Gosling, photographer, videographer. On this channel we talk about photography, we talk about racing, and today that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to have a quick look at what the outcomes and some of the highlights and some of the lowlights of the first round of World Superbikes that was held at Phillip Island just a weekend or two ago. The standout from the weekend, obviously, and I'm going to go a bit beyond the good, the bad and the ugly. I'm going to go very, very good, and I'm going to go, man, this really is going to be a bad year. This is going to be a long, long year. At the very, very good end of the scale, had to be Alvaro Bautista. He was simply in another class. Apart from the short Super Pole race on Sunday morning, he was just simply far and beyond anybody else. Even the Super Pole race, he finished that winning by just over a second. The other races he won by, I think, 12 seconds, 15 seconds, ridiculous amount of times. It was fairly obvious from the time that he signed to race for the Aruba team that if Ducati gave him a good bike, he was going to be very, very competitive. The fact that he was this competitive so early on, I think that surprised a few people. He's my number one pick from the weekend. Good. So who was at the good level? I'm going to give that one to BMW, and in particular to Tom Sykes. They came to Phillip Island, new team, new rider, new bike to team, pretty much knew everything. And the bike that they came with was, from what I was told, even more stock than what Tom Sykes believed it was. He knew it was fairly stock, but apparently the engine in particular was very, very stock. And they were competitive all weekend. Like, okay, in the races, I think they got 7th. He faded a bit in the final race. But in testing, he was up there. I think he was 4th fastest in final testing. That's very impressive for a brand new bike with a new team. The whole thing. It's not like they've had a massive amount of time to develop the bike. So he rates as my good. Who gets bad? Okay, Kawasaki. They came second, yes, for the weekend, and so how can you say, oh, they came bad? How were they bad? Well, they were basically first in a whole other race. They weren't even close, apart from, again, from the short sprint race, where I'm guessing they could just use up tyres a whole lot more. They were miles behind. I was standing for the second race, for the second full race on Sunday afternoon. I was standing at the exit of Siberia, and Bautista was going past, and they were only just entering turn 4. That is a huge, huge amount to be behind. Johnny Ray himself said they came to a gunfight with basically a pocket knife, and they did. This is the team that has dominated basically World Superbikes for the last 3 or 4 years, and honestly, at this point in time, whether they just let down a bit, I don't know. The thing that has made them so good for that last few years is the fact that they have focused on making the bike as good as it could possibly be for the regulations. I don't know. They've got a lot of thinking to do before they get to Buriram in Thailand and other races, and then back to Europe. So they get my bad vote. Ugly. I'm going to give that one to Chaz Davies. Now, I love Chaz. He is such a nice guy and he's a really, really good rider. But from what I can tell, he was struggling massively with his back, much more than he was letting on. And I think also he's got to be in a position where he's hurting mentally. He's spent the last 3 years getting just hammered by Johnny Ray. He's been the only one who's been there consistently to compete with Johnny Ray, but he's just been beaten down. Middle of last year, he must have thought that things were going to be good this year. New bike coming along, it's like a whole new fresh start. He's come into the test and he's miles off the pace, and his teammate is just absolutely decimating the field. Chaz really is just going to have to try and hopefully he can get his back sorted, and he's just going to have to get his head together. Otherwise, I don't know what where Chaz goes from here. Now, the really, really ugly, the one that it's going to be a very long year for, that's got to be Honda. Honda finally did what they probably should have done 10 years ago. They took the team, they bought it in-house, they've given it HRC backing, they've bought Althea in, Moriwaki in, so they've put together this whole team. They've come out and the bike is just as bad as it's been for the last 10 years. Honestly, I was sitting back thinking, when was the last time Honda really had a competitive bike? And you have to go back to the Colin Edwards days, to the time when Honda was actually really competitive in World Superbikes. They've had some competitive riders. They've had some riders who've made the bike look much better than it is. Johnny Ray worked so hard, and Johnny Ray hurt himself massively making that bike look much better than it was. The problem, there's a number of problems that I see with Honda. At this point in time, they really need two really good riders to push development of the team. Ichi Kiyanari hasn't raced World Superbike since 2009. He was a good rider, and unfortunately I see now he's not what the team needs right now. I understand he's Japanese and that's going to help with communication and all those sort of things, but reality is they need two really, really strong riders. Kamiya is a good rider, Kamiya can do the work, but at the moment he's the only one. So if Honda can't make some major steps, and I mean getting to the top 10, like, okay, I think they finished most of the races around the top 10, but they were miles off the pace, and that's not where they need to be. So they need to, between now and Thailand, and particularly before getting back to the European rounds, they really, really need to do something to step up. Maybe it's just going to take time to settle in, but they didn't show anything at the test or at the first round. Okay, that's my take. That's my take on the good, the bad, and the ugly, and even worse than ugly. Tell me what you think. Have I got it right? Am I wrong? Do you disagree? Was somebody else good, somebody else bad? Have I been unduly harsh on somebody? Leave a comment below, and I'm happy to have a talk and discuss the issue with you. Okay, for now, I'll once again, if you like what I've done here, hit the like button, subscribe, click notifications, and I'll catch you again soon. Bye.